Hello and welcome to Building the Premier Accounting Firm. This is a podcast dedicated to helping individuals have a successful accounting, bookkeeping, or tax business. This show is dedicated to helping you have the confidence and competence to offer quality accounting services and get paid what you're worth. Each of the episodes that we have is conversational with tips and tricks to help you apply various principles in your business, ranging around the topics of marketing, lead generation, ideal clients, pricing, price strategies, accounting services, value-added services, workflow, practice management, staff training, client onboarding, client relations and retentions, and so much more. This podcast is meant to help you become an accountrepreneur to work on your business from the advice the experts can provide. Our expert today is going to be someone you're going to enjoy. His name is Ken Mann. I've known Ken for years now. Ken happens to actually run a business with his wife, Gina Mann. She is an EA and CFP. They own Freedom Financial Solutions, LLC. Now, Ken is a profit and growth expert. He helps his clients increase their profit, reduce their taxes so that they can have the money in the bank that they deserve and need. Both Ken and Gina specialize in small business, 100% accounting, as well as IRS and New York State tax problem representation. Ken is an Intuit certified QuickBooks Pro advisor in both the desktop and online versions. And Ken does private QuickBooks training, company setup, and specializes in catch-up and cleanup projects. So Ken, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Roger. It's good to be here.
This is so fun. So whenever we get together, we have some great conversations. So this is what we're going to do. I want to go back and just start way back when, as you looked at starting your business. Now, you were actually working in the corporate world, and at the time there were some changes happening with your business. Let's go back then.
Okay, so actually, my wife has the 4-year accounting degree, and she started our business as a tax prep business when we had a child on our lap, and I was working for IBM. And after right around 25 years with IBM, they decided that my employment was no longer necessary. So we probably find ourselves in a place that many other people found themselves in, including many of our clients, being, in your 40s and not longer having any employment when you've been working for a long time and have created a pretty good salary for yourself.
Yeah. So at this point, you obviously see a life change coming. You chose to step in with your wife and kind of do this full time. That was kind of an interesting stretch for you because at the time you were living off of the two incomes, and now you needed to double down and really focus on the accounting services that you were providing. Tell us about the growth that your company experienced.
Well, it's actually a little bit different than that, just going backwards. So we were really just living off my IBM income, and the tax business, just a little nice side thing that paid for vacations, put money away for college education. We really weren't counting on that income at all. So when I lost my full-time corporate employment, we were faced with some tough decisions because this was not something that we could just walk into and sustain our livelihood. So we had to cut way back on all of our expenses. We stopped eating out. We didn't take vacations for a couple of years, and we really, just retreated inward and watched every penny that came in and went out. And we made the decision to trying to turn our side business into a livelihood, a 2-year test before determining what's going to happen. The time I was laid off, I was told, well, at your salary, what's going to happen is take you 18 months to find a new job. They'll keep you for 2 years, and then they're going to let you go. And the way you're going to find a new job is by networking and finding people on the inside. And at the same token, I was starting to get trained on how to be an entrepreneur. And they said, hey, guess what? To grow your business, you've got to do networking and start meeting people on the inside of companies. I'm like, so I have to learn the exact same skills. And I have to, one place is going to take me 2 years to have any income. They're going to keep me for 2 years and get rid of me. The other place, it's ours forever. And it made that initial choice pretty easy to give this a 2-year test to see how it would go. And here we are, 12 years later, and I guess it's still going pretty good.
Exactly. One of the things I liked about that is just the reality of it all. What you described is you can put the same amount of energy into building your business as to finding employment. And so often finding employment is in fact that. It's a job in and of itself. And so to put all that energy and effort into growing your business and building this income like you have, kudos to you. A lot of energy, a lot of effort. You and Gene have done an amazing job. So let's talk about your business. What are the services that your company offers?
Well, currently, it's much different than it was when we started this as a full-time livelihood 12 years ago. At that point, we were really just focused on producing income tax returns. It was around that transition time where I discovered this company called Universal Accounting Center, and they were offering schools on bookkeeping and how to become a QuickBooks expert and how to market an accounting practice. And so, aligned with those skills, we started to realize that just providing tax returns is a very nice business, but that really wasn't what we wanted to do at the age that we were at. We wanted to really start making a difference in people's lives and in businesses, and by becoming more of this profit and growth expert, and really taking on a more consultative approach to working with our business owners. The one thing that I found when Gina was doing the business prior to my full time involvement is she would be getting QuickBooks files from small business owners that were just a complete disaster. And she would try to make a tax return. And we were never really closing that loop back out and saying, well, here's how to do QuickBooks better. Here's what you're not doing right. Here's, and just even teaching people how to use QuickBooks properly. In my time at IBM, towards the end, my role was learning and teaching software. And I'm like, well, I understand accounting. I can certainly learn QuickBooks, and I can use the skills that I gained at IBM on how to teach software to our clients and help them to do a better job. Because ultimately, I think it's Marcus Lemonis, the guy who has the TV show The Profit, says, if you don't know your numbers, you don't know your business.
Yep.
And we were finding that with many of our small business clients. I think one of the biggest challenges small business has is when someone leaves a full-time job to try and start their own thing, they often just create a job for themselves as opposed to an actual business.
Yes.
And we wanted to help them to create businesses and to really start to get out of their business what their hopes and dreams were when they started the business.
Now, one of the things that you mentioned is that you are also a profit and growth expert. How do you describe that to your potential clients or even the clients you're working with to help them understand what that's meant to mean?
I think the best way I explain it is I say the tax return is your report card on the test that you took last year. And unlike when you're in school and you take a test and the teachers might give you extra credit or things you can do to change your grade, once that ball drops in Times Square and everybody stands around and yells Happy New Year, there's really not much extra credit available to change your tax return from the year before, short of retirement accounts and HSAs and a few vehicles that are available. But in general, once the year changes, there's nothing you can do. So a profit and growth expert is someone who actually works with you throughout the year, whether we meet monthly, bi-monthly, quarterly, some frequency that makes sense for the particular business that we're working with. And different businesses require different frequencies, is actually pulling out your profit and loss, pulling out your balance sheet, looking at your cash flow, and helping you understand, are the things that you're doing making money? Are you spending money in the right places? How are you leveraged? Are you upside down? Do you have money that if every single person who came knocking on your door saying, I want you to pay me now, do you have the cash available to do that? And so it's really looking at the health of the business. It's looking at the churn inside of the business. For us, we'll go and visit the business owners and see the places where they work to try to, look for things that might be that you don't see just by looking at the numbers. So, for instance, we picked up a retail shop, and I went in for one of our first meetings, and all throughout the shop, they had all these clearance racks at 80% of all these clothes they were trying to get rid of. So that led to some very deep discussions, and we had to really change how they were purchasing inventory, how they were deciding what inventory to purchase. Because basically, when you're selling inventory at 80%, you're not making money on those outfits. You're probably losing money.
Yeah.
And so, but the numbers itself might have pointed to that, but without actually going in and seeing the place and seeing the clothes on racks all over the place, I would have never known that just by looking at the numbers. So to us, it's important to know more about the clients than just looking in a cloud-based accounting system and seeing what the numbers say.
With that being said, so much of doing business has changed, especially after COVID, where there's this virtual element. And a lot of people actually work with clients that are virtual. Do you have an opinion regarding interacting with the client on a virtual level versus doing like you're describing, going physically to the office?
Well, yeah, I do have an opinion. I mean, certainly the virtual model works as many people are doing it and many people are really good at it. For us, maybe we're old school, I don't know, but we really like the in person, face to face transactions that are taking place. I had somebody in yesterday who thought she was coming in for something. And in the course of the conversation that we were able to have, because we're picking up papers and looking at them and talking to each other, and we found out all kinds of things that she was out of compliance in. And maybe someone with good interviewing skills might have picked that up in a virtual only meeting. But to me, there's a lot of lost communication when you're not meeting face to face. And for us, it's very, very important to try to do as much face to face time as possible. So
Perfect.
that's my opinion. There are other people who I'm sure share an opposite opinion and are very successful with the opposite opinion. It certainly makes our process slower.
Well, I think there's definitely opinions out there, but obviously at the end of the day, it's your business
Yeah.
and it's the relationship that you're building with your clients. And it's what's allowing you to be as effective as you feel you need to be for the clients you service. So, no, I think your opinion matters.
I would say the thing we probably hear the most is our previous accountant, tax preparer, bookkeeper didn't ask us this, didn't talk to us about this, doesn't answer our questions. And so in general, I look at it as a transactional approach to this business and a relationship approach to this business. I think it's pretty clear we strive for the relationship approach, and I think the relationship approach is even deeper when you have that face to face stuff. Now, that doesn't say someone can't, pick up a cell phone and walk around their shop and give you a visual inspection of their shop without you having to be there.
Hmm.
So I think there are things we can do with technology to close that gap, but we're really not looking to build a kingdom. We're servicing our local community. We're well known in our local community. And that's probably another reason why the remote isn't as important to us as it might be for other businesses.
Very good. Very good. I love that. And especially the fact that you've now, over the years, built up that reputation in your community. That's excellent. Let's talk about your marketing. When I was doing the introduction, I know there's three things you emphasize that I think really distinguish what your business focuses on for the clients. And it's specifically that you're trying to help with increasing the profits, reducing their tax liability, and also having money in the bank. Can you talk about those three things for us?
Yeah, so I don't think you can do those if all you're doing is performing a transactional approach to accounting. Um, the idea of reducing taxes is working with the clients during the year and looking for whatever vehicles you can to help them lower their tax obligation, from this, setting up SEP plans, for example, or just even, when's the right time to buy equipment and not the right time to buy equipment, or are you paying too much for something and maybe need to find a different supplier. And those things, the numbers pointed out pretty readily. And when you're having conversations with the clients on a more regular basis, the profit and loss can point to areas that you need to have deeper conversations with. And I have found now that when we have those meetings, almost having an agenda at this point doesn't even make any sense, because it's like, here's what I'm seeing, and then they go on to here's what they're seeing, and you never know what rabbit trail you're going to go down. And every time we go in with one thought, we come out with, wow, look where we ended up, and look at the ideas we had to help this business improve their profitability. And that's really that kind of consultative role that's really important. And for many businesses, they don't even have an accounting system. The old days of coming into your accountant with a shoebox or a grocery bag full of receipts, just that's not providing any sort of advisory services. So we're really trying to move people to accounting systems, whether we're doing it on QuickBooks Desktop or getting them on QuickBooks Online. As a QuickBooks Pro advisor, partial to QuickBooks, even though Intuit doesn't seem to like accountants very much. And so I'm not into the other tools that are out there. I'm sure there are other, Waze and Zero and whatever the other ones are, but they're out there, but we're partial to QuickBooks.
Gotcha. Is there a specific industry that you've kind of targeted, or is it more geographical, the local community? Do you have a niche of any sort?
No, it's more the local community and small businesses. Although we have found we've picked up a lot of contractors and realtors. It has been a lot of growth in those areas. But the one thing I really liked about the QuickBooks training I got from Universal Accounting, well, at least back in 2010, we did, I think it was 12 industries by hand for 2 months. And so for the first several years when we were working in the business, I was doing a lot of bookkeeping and doing a lot of different industries. So I like to say I'm well versed, in a lot of industries that way for small businesses.
Yeah.
And at this point now, I'm no longer doing any of the bookkeeping. I have an employee now who does all that work, that I've trained. But, I couldn't be where I am today without building that foundation and doing all that work by myself first.
Wonderful. And I appreciate you saying that. Now, I'm going to go to a story that may not be familiar. It's something that you and I discussed actually a number of years ago. And I'm bringing it up because of the diversity of the clients that you were working with. I remember you distinctly sharing with me that you were onboarding a tattoo parlor. Do you remember this at all?
I do. He actually ended up not starting with us. But that was a local guy down the street.
Well, one of the things that reminded me of that is the fact of the diverse types of business owners you end up interacting with. It's if you really get into this business, you can find certain industries that honestly you'd never even think of yourself being in business doing that. And here's your chance as an accounting professional to get into a business that was just so different and unique that it becomes fascinating by its own right. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I remember when you guys were doing your dog and pony shows and traveling throughout the country and doing the seminars. You used to have me come down and be a testimonial speaker. And I think for one of those, I prepared a list of all the different industries that we served and read it off at that presentation. And there was probably 20 or 30 different industries.
Yeah, I remember this.
It was kind of interesting to kind of look backwards and just or look into your client base and say, wow, look at all the different industries that we're touching and serving. But for us, we really are focusing on that small business community that was, kind of defined in my training from Universal, 20 or less employees, 3 to 4 million tops in sales. That's really the area that the clientele where we start to cap off.
That's perfect. Now, because you've started down memory lane, let me kind of hype in for the listeners, just to give you some context. I've known Ken for over a decade. And working with Ken, I've seen him, as he's described, kind of step into this after his career at IBM and so forth. But my reason for bringing this up is because back in the day, he's right. You referred to it as our dog and pony show. So I'll go with that. What we were doing is we had 6 presenters we called it our road department or division of our company. And at that time, for nearly almost 20 years. It was nearly that long. It was at least 15 years. We would travel around the United States and Canada. We did some seminars over in Australia and New Zealand as well. But what we were doing is literally these presenters were on the road as many as 40 to 45 weekends a year. And they would go out and on a Saturday in a local market, go and do a presentation. It was a 3-hour seminar on basically starting and building an accounting business. And it was a very detailed presentation. And it was in those presentations that I had the opportunity to travel around basically the United States and Canada were my market. And being one of those 6 presenters for a long time, I got to see so many places, meet so many people, literally hundreds and thousands of accounting professionals starting and building their businesses, working with them for months, if not years. It's incredible the relationships I've built. And Ken, you're one of those amazing ones. I distinctly remember coming out to one of the hotels, having dinner, and having you come in and speak as a testimonial like you shared. So a lot of good memories.
Yep, there are.
So with regards to your business, you've got you and your wife. You mentioned that you've got a bookkeeper. How big is your company right now?
We currently have on full time. Well, the bookkeeper, she's a full year part time employee, and then we just brought on a new tax preparer this year during tax season who used to work for H&R Block, and we're hoping to find work for her to keep her on as a full year part time employee as well. And then during tax season, we bring in seasonal help. And what we have found really successful for that is we have two colleges nearby that both have accounting programs, and we've been bringing in college students who are in the accounting program, and that's worked phenomenally well because they're in classes where they're learning tax one or tax two, and so they're already familiar with the forms and all of that, and so they can hit the ground running. It takes about 2 hours to teach them how to use my software, and they can start preparing tax returns. And that's been really, really fantastic. And as they get more involved during the tax season, we start to give them basic S corp and partnership returns for the data entry work as well. And the nice thing about using college students is they're very quick to learn, and there's no career path to manage because they know that they're done when tax season's over.
I love it. No, that's an excellent find, and I'm glad you have that resource. It's amazing that you've tapped into it. So that's actually, I think, a lot of great advice for the listeners. Now, the other thing I want to talk about is your business. You and your wife, you've been now for over a decade running this business. I'm curious, how has this really benefited your life? How have you been blessed by it?
Oh, well, we are earning way more now than I ever did when I was at IBM. So on a financial side, we put three kids through college, predominantly debt free. I think one has a $10,000 loan, one's a $3,000 loan, and we got one that's about to get married next year that we'll be able to put money towards that wedding. And we just bought a boat for ourselves, so we get to try and get some enjoyment out of this life as well. And but the thing that you can't put the price tag on is we're changing people's lives. Several years ago, my wife Gina became an enrolled agent so that we can start to do IRS representation, and we started training very heavily on the representation work through different groups out there like NTPI and ASTPS, other groups out there that focus on representation training, Michael Rosbrook, and we're really diving into that, and that's really the direction we want to take the business. Have more employees that can handle the transactional tax stuff, so that we can really do the IRS representation and New York State representation. And when you get somebody where you no longer have the IRS or New York State breathing down their back, and you take that stress away from their lives, that makes a huge impact on them, and it makes a huge impact on us because we now aren't just crunching numbers, we're actually changing people's lives. And that's the part you can't put a price tag on. And we're even with the small business owners, when we help them to make more money in their business, there are people's like they can't wait to write me a check after our meeting because they know there's more money in their pocket after the hour we just spent with each other.
Exactly. I'm so glad you've brought this up because I think so often we get caught up in the technical side of things, but at the end of the day, this is a people business. Can you give us a story or two about either the accounting or the tax that you've done for a client and how it's impacted their lives in a positive way?
Oh God. Probably a recent one we had was a guy who owned a deli in New York, and he had a sales tax audit. The sales tax auditor basically stood in his deli for an entire day and wrote down all the transactions that went in and out and extrapolated from that, what he wasn't paying in sales tax. And the guy had kidney disease, and so he just kind of ignored it because he thought he was going to die. He was on dialysis. Well, he got a kidney transplant, and he got his life back, and now he had $200,000 of debt to New York State that had blossomed because of this audit. So we were able to file an offer in compromise for him. I think it was for $8,000, which was what his original tax debt was. And he looks like he's 10 years younger now. The stress of that burden no longer being on top of him when he was in here a few days ago. He's just got a pounce in his step, and he's got life again. And I'm sure part of it's having the new kidney, but part of it's having this $200,000 ball and chain removed from his neck.
That is awesome. And I think that is the perfect story to share. So that was wonderful. Here's my next question. You and Gina, you started this business, as you said, so many years ago. What advice would you give to your younger self looking back? You had the hard times, you had the struggles. Looking back, what advice would you give them?
So I had to do a ton of networking. I had to learn how to present my message. Accountants tend to talk above people's heads. So I had to learn how to talk to people instead of not over people, if you understand what I'm saying.
Oh yeah.
And so that was really important to refine my message. And I got involved in the Chamber of Commerce and in a networking group called BNI, Business Networking International. And having to speak at BNI every single week really taught me how to refine my message, and becoming an ambassador for the chamber and just going out and meeting small business owners, which was my target market, was very, very effective. But probably one of the best pieces of advice that I got after spending a day driving around and knocking on small business doors, trying to find bookkeeping clients and walking back empty handed, was talking to someone. He said, you know what, you need to stop thinking about being rejected and start thinking about that you're a no collector. Because statistics say that for every 20 no's, you get a yes. So all you're doing out there is going out there and collecting your no's for that next yes. And that made it no longer personal that I was being personally rejected. It made it just a numbers game.
I love that. I love that. The fact that you weren't personally being rejected, but you were able to play the numbers game. I like that. So regarding your business, you've got a boat. What was the boat that you bought?
It's a 1989 31-foot Wellcraft. So people are like, what are you doing? You're going from nothing to 31 feet. But it was just too good of a deal to pass up. It was right in the marina 5 miles from our house. And so the slip was already there. And it was just too good of a deal to pass up. We had just started scratching the surface and looking at this thing. And then, boom, all of a sudden we have it. So looking forward to tomorrow afternoon. We're closing the office every Friday afternoon the rest of the summer, and hoping to go out on the boat every Friday afternoon and start to use it to entertain and maybe bring some of our better clients out, and and kind of up the game a little bit, so to speak.
I love it. I love it.
The other exciting thing that's going on is we just placed and have an accepted offer in a building. We basically renovated our house right before I got laid off. We converted our old garage into an office, a private entrance office, and we've really outgrown that. And so, who knows? This in about maybe October, November, we may be moving into a new office building and out of our private entrance office attached to our house.
And this is a big step up. If I remember right, you're quadrupling your space.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, and we won't be using all of it, so there'll be some hope that we can rent some of it out to people looking for single-use offices of their own, and make some income back on the property.
Wonderful. Now, regarding your business, one of the things I want to kind of get your thoughts on is the impact of technology, artificial intelligence, software, plugins. How has technology impacted your business and your working relationship with your clients?
I think in the intro, we talked about QuickBooks cleanups and QuickBooks catch-ups.
Yep.
Someone who hasn't done any bookkeeping and they haven't filed returns for multiple years, with our ability to do QuickBooks catch-up work, we can download years and years worth of transactions into QuickBooks, even if we only have paper statements, and do all that bookkeeping in hours instead of days. So that's a tremendous use of technology. On the representation side, there's tools like THS and Pitbull that we use that allow us to download years worth of transcripts from the IRS and be able to recreate tax returns and figure out what people owe and what's filed and what's not filed. And so the use of those tools certainly makes our jobs much more productive.
Perfect. Now, I appreciate you mentioning some of those softwares. Obviously, everyone's kind of interested in which ones you may be using and what you may recommend. So I appreciate you mentioning those. The next question I have is probably a little bit more personal as well, and it's regarding your business as an entrepreneur. You own the business with your wife. How has that provided for you the freedom and independence that you're looking for?
Well, maybe I touched on that. We're able to buy a boat, and we're closing every Friday afternoon. When I was doing payroll, we actually just sold the payroll business at the end of December of last year, just because it was becoming too much of a burden. But when I was doing payroll, if I was on vacation, I could sit on the balcony looking over the beach and run people's payroll for an hour, and still be able to do that while I'm not in the office. Certainly, last year with the pandemic, taking advantage of Zoom and our secure Dropbox to send tax returns back and forth with people that are not local or didn't want to come into the office last year. Those kind of freedoms to do things that are things you can't have when you work for somebody else.
Yep.
If we want to take 4 weeks vacation, I don't need my boss to say you're only entitled to 2 weeks or you can't have this week. If we want to go, we go.
Exactly. So that brings up a great question. Where's your favorite place to vacation?
Yeah. Well, I have a jet ski, so I love to be able to just go out on my jet ski. But we have a timeshare that we bought in North Myrtle Beach the first full week of July. So we've been doing that every year for about 7 or 8 years, except for last year. We've really become attracted to the Finger Lake region in upstate New York. So we live in Hudson Valley, New York, which is halfway between Manhattan and Albany. So it's about a 3 to 4 hour drive to the Finger Lakes. And just renting places right on the lakes has really become very enjoyable to us.
That is interesting. Just earlier today, I was discussing the Finger Lakes. I was there literally last week. I don't know if you're familiar with these two places, so I'm gonna quiz you since you mentioned the fact that you like it. So the furthest west lake at the bottom south corner, there is, I think it's Walter Glen Park, and
Yep.
there's a hike in there. Have you done
Yep.
that hike?
Oh yeah, we've done that. Watkins Glen.
Watkins Glen, there you go.
Yeah.
Beautiful, beautiful. I loved that. That was amazing.
Oh, it's fantastic.
The falls that were incredible. And then near there, this was more north. It was a falls that's referred to as, I believe it's called the Eternal Flame Fall.
Yeah, we didn't get to see that one, but that's near Buffalo.
Yes. Yep, did that. We had on mate. It was beautiful, absolutely incredible hike. I quite like that. Did Niagara when we were there. Loved the whole experience at Niagara. That was beautiful. So yeah, that was just last week. So I was in the neck of the woods. There you go, Ken.
And you didn't stop by. I'm very upset.
Well, you were 3-4 hours away. So
I would come up and met you.
well, what was funny is we had gone with 3 other families, and we had rented an Airbnb and happened to all stay together. It was incredible. We had an amazing time. The house had a pool. The kids just enjoyed the pool.
Nice.
It was an old renovated barn of all places. That's what they had done, is renovated a barn and made it into a home. And then now they're renting out the home. So it was quite fun.
So it's interesting because I just turned 59 this year, and here we are buying a building and growing our business. And so many people, when they get to be my age, are thinking about retirement and slowing down. So it's very interesting.
You've got a few good years in you. Don't worry about that, Ken.
Well, the nice thing about what we do is you can keep doing it to your 80s and 90s as long as your mind is still sharp.
You've got a great point. When I talk to people about retiring as accounting professionals, more often than not, it's slowing down in the sense that they'll hold on to a few of the clients, and into their 60s, 70s, they'll even in their 80s, I've spoken to a few, where they really retain some of the relationships that they have, and it keeps them cognitively aware because they're always thinking mentally, and at the same time it gives them purpose, gets them out of bed. So they love staying engaged with the business communities, still attending the chamber meetings. There's in our area, there's a Rotary group that they attend. And so some of these older accounting professionals, instead of stopping, they just kind of wind down and go to a lesser pace and keep their ideal clients that they have really good relationships with. And they do have at the office staff and such that do take care of the technical things. But yeah, it's quite interesting. Real off the wall question, being that you're in that area, when I'm back there, what's a great place to eat? What's a food place that I should consider?
Oh, God, I always use Yelp or internet tools for that.
Well, you've got to recommend something for us.
Yeah, I don't know. There's so many places in the Finger Lakes. That's kind of hard. We like to eat on the wineries.
Yep, they've got a lot of wineries that we had passed by. Yes. Okay.
So one of the marketing things I wanted to mention before we run out of time
Yeah.
is we have found has really been great for us, though, especially the last 2 years, has been Facebook. So I'm not even like doing advertising. I'm just talking about when people post, hey, I'm looking for an account. Does anyone have a recommendation? And if you engage your or your customer base to respond to those posts with your name, when a request like that goes out on Facebook, we usually get tagged 3 to 5 times more in that post than any of the other people in our area. And inevitably, we're the ones who are going to get the call, because if we get tagged 10, 15 times, everyone else is getting tagged once or twice. And with the message that everyone says is, wow, this guy's got a lot of happy customers. And I also will engage in the post and just say, hey, I'm Ken. I'm glad that people are talking good, nice about us, and we'd love to have a chat with you. And then all of a sudden something pops up in Facebook Messenger because a person, can engage with me right away in social media.
I'm glad you shared that. We've got actually a few things that we're doing locally with Facebook and help some of our clients with that's Facebook related advertising. So you're right. When you can, with your BNIs that you mentioned earlier, the chambers that you mentioned earlier, have the local community mention you in response to the posts that are going out there, that's a great referral source.
Yeah, I think we did some statistics today actually in the office, and we had 80 new clients this year, and for tax returns, and I think 40 plus of them were just through Facebook tags.
That is incredible. Well, with that being said, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do a nice little summary of our conversation here. And in doing so, I'm going to mention a few things that caught my attention from our conversation. And then I'm going to come back to you, Ken, for any closing thoughts that you might have. Does that sound all right?
Sure.
All right. So before I begin, I'm going to begin with an offer. This is primarily because of what Ken just mentioned a moment ago. What I'm going to recommend is in the episode description, I'm going to put some information there regarding what you can be doing in your business to actually leverage social media to get clients. There's an excellent webinar that we're going to be doing that actually addresses not only social media marketing, such as Facebook, LinkedIn, Google's, and so forth, but it's going to talk also about leveraging that information through a use of technology to actually help them schedule appointments with you, to basically nurture those relationships and contacts through a contact relationship management system. It's leveraging technology to take these contacts and move them towards becoming paying clients for you. So what you want to do is go to the episode description and there find the information you need to attend this webinar and actually find out more what you can be doing to leverage technology as well as your social media presence to get the clients that you deserve, whether it be tax clients, accounting clients, bookkeeping clients. This is exactly what you need to know and understand about technology and how to leverage it, especially your social media presence, to get the clients you deserve. The other thing I want to do is, just as a summary, is just point out that Ken, with everything that he's accomplished, I hope you could sense, as I do, the love for the work, the difference that he's making for his clients, but also the benefits that he's personally experiencing with him and his wife running this business. It's been a wonderful journey and experience. I think he offers some quality services as he focuses with his clients on those three key elements that he mentioned. First of all, helping them improve profit. I think that resonates with the business owners, that captures their attention. Legally lowering their tax liability, that's obviously of a concern, and then making sure that they have money in the bank. Those are the three perfect things that Ken focuses on in his marketing to obviously draw in the clients that he deserves. And then the other thing that I thought was quite helpful is he was talking about there's the technical skills that we have as accounting professionals to provide these services, but at the end of the day, this is still a personal business. It's getting away from perhaps the virtual meetings with the clients, going to their office, seeing what the workspace is like, the retail space is. And then from that, having a personal relationship with the client. I'm sure he's going to write off something of that boat as he takes out clients on the ocean. But at the same time, it is genuinely a great way to build these personal relationships that he has with his clients. But at the end of all of this, he's definitely a happy man. 59, as he mentioned, going strong, and there's just no end yet in what he's going to accomplish. They're growing the business, and I just think the world of what both Ken and Gina have been able to accomplish. So, Ken, do you have any final thoughts?
Roger, this has just been a lot of fun to reminisce with you for a while and talk with you on this episode. I guess, the journey for us has really morphed, right? We started out in one place and here we are, I don't know, 12 years later or so, and we're in a very different place. So allow your business to expand and direct and drive you. What you decided to do 12 years ago shouldn't define you for the rest of the time that you're working in your business. We've gone through a lot of changes and a lot of growth. And for us, our focus is we really want to change people's lives. And so that drives everything that we do and has kind of driven a lot of our of the morphing of our business that's happened over the last 12 years. And if this building purchase goes through, it'll be another transition that we're doing. I guess I just invite people, to play back this recording and listen to it. I'm easy to find on social media, Ken Mann at Freedom Financial Solutions, LLC. And I'm glad to connect with people and talk to people. We do connect with Universal graduates that I come across, and we have nice conversations as well. And I'm just glad for this opportunity to share with you, Roger.
This is perfect. Yeah, one of the things that I think is amazing is having done this for as many years as I have, there's a great community of accounting professionals out there that are the alumni, if you will, of Universal Accounting. So it's great that they're all connecting. And I'll put in the episode description Ken Mann's LinkedIn address, if you will, so that you can connect with him as well. So with that all being said, let me just mention this. There's some additional free resources available in the episode description. Go there to take advantage of those. Always listen to these episodes, subscribe to this podcast. This is where you're going to get the tips and tricks that you need in order to run your business and actually have the company that you always strive to have. And with that, if you have any more questions or if you'd like additional information, you can definitely visit us at universalaccountingschool.com, or you can give us a phone call. You can reach us at 801-265-3777. And always remember this, if it's about accounting, it is universal. Take care and have a great day.